Our Across the Aisle segment tonight, the Planned Parenthood executive who was caught on tape joking about selling aborted baby body parts to buy a Lamborghini, she just got busted again for the same thing. Dr. Mary Gatter is seen on undercover video haggling over the price of aborted baby organs. It's awful. Here it is.
50 was like 12 years ago. 50 was like 12 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, so what we like about per specimen is that way we're not paying for material that we can't use, you know? So if we can get a liver, a lung, and,
you would
brain.
show up to do this.
Oh, exactly. We would send a tech. We can get a liver, a lung, and,
you would
brain.
show up to do this.
Oh, exactly. We would send a tech. Yeah, we would send a tech in to do that. Yeah. Novogenics, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. But we had at PDLA went to 24 weeks, and we had Heather coming to 2 of our sites that went a little further along, and they found a lot of issues with us.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're still doing that. Give me a call.
With me now, former Georgia State Representative, Democratic strategist LaDon Jones. Representative Jones, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Liz.
All right, Representative Jones, this is sort of a continuation of our conversation last week. We talked about when life began and the abortion stance within the Democratic Party. Of course, after DNC Chair Tom Perez said that if you're pro-life, then you're not welcome in the Democratic Party. But watching this video, this isn't the first time this has happened. This doctor for Planned Parenthood has been caught on tape doing the same thing again. I mean, is it time for Democrats to distance themselves from Planned Parenthood too?
Absolutely not. And like we discussed last week, this is the problem. This is the politics that gets played in between finding real solutions to either stance on abortion. If you are aware of what happens with Planned Parenthood, you know that already federal funding does not go to support any abortion activities. We also know that the clinician who actually aborts the fetus is not allowed to know that the tissue is being donated. And only after the woman says that they would like an abortion can they be asked if they would like to donate.
Wait a second. I know that that's the law. But I think this issue is not about the politics of the thing. I don't think it's about the politics of Planned Parenthood. I think this is about the laws that are on our books right now. I mean, the videos from the Center for Medical Progress that were released in 2015, they showed one of the top executives, the medical director, I believe, of Planned Parenthood, Deborah Nucatola. She actually said that she moves the fetus, moves the unborn baby in a certain way so as not to crush certain organs when she knows that they're going to be harvested afterward. So if that's against the law, she's breaking the law. But in this case, I mean, this isn't about the other services that Planned Parenthood provides. This is about this woman, Dr. Mary Gatter. She's negotiating over the sale of aborted baby body parts. I mean, doesn't that disgust you?
Absolutely not. You know why? Because she is a medical doctor who understands that these fetuses will be used, the tissue from these fetuses will be used to help with diseases like Parkinson's and shingles and polio and all the other vaccines that many of us have benefited from. You and I right now are benefiting from the results of an aborted fetus that was used to come up with vaccines that are in our bodies that has kept us safe. And as a medical professional, that is what she has sworn an oath to do, to ensure that she is bringing health and safety to everyone.
I mean, as a medical professional, she swears not to harm no patient, and she clearly is harming these patients. I guess, let me make this a little clearer then. I mean, what she's talking about is a crime. It's against the law to sell aborted baby body parts for profit here. Does this evidence, this pretty obvious evidence of criminal behavior, does that not bother you?
Well, that's not evidence of that. What they have made it clear again and again, Congress has done a deep study on this, and they made sure that they took testimony, and the folks who are making these videos dared not to show up. And what they found is they are simply taking the amount of money solely that covers the administrative cost of the process. This is not a free process. Planned Parenthood gets money from not only the federal government, but from donors and a number of other sources.
So you're saying it costs Planned Parenthood capital in order to get these parts, in order to do that process in the lab, and that's what they're charging to reimburse that cost?
That's right. Because in order for them to
right. No. Let me interrupt you then, because I know that that's the argument that's being made, but that's in fact not correct. Planned Parenthood outsources this. The tech companies that do the harvesting of these organs, they bring their own equipment in. They bring their own techs in. All they do is rent the space from Planned Parenthood. So Planned Parenthood has absolutely zero overhead costs. Zero. There is nothing that they can be reimbursed for. They are spending nothing on this process. Every penny that they get from these companies is pure profit for them.
And even let's just assume your argument is correct, which I don't agree with. Anyone who has run a business knows that there's nothing that is pure profit. Just the cost of the clinicians being in there with the lights on and the medical devices running cost Planned Parenthood something. And let's
Then why would they be haggling over the price of the individual parts then? If they're just renting the space, why don't they rent it by the number of hours? Why don't they rent it by the square foot? Why are they renting it by the number of livers that are harvested?
Here's the thing. I am not a CPA for Planned Parenthood, so I don't know how their numbers break down. But what is this issue really about? The issue is about whether or not we agree or disagree with abortion. And what the Republicans have decided to do and conservatives have decided to do is, rather than address the issue, they want to pick on one department, one private or non-for-profit company, hoping that by tearing them down, they somehow tear down abortion. But that's not what's going to happen. What is going to happen is that women who need the help, women who need contraception, women who need help with STDs are going to be hurt and not able to get those.
No, that's not true. I mean, that's to be honest, that's a classic liberal talking point. These videos do expose the truth about abortion. They do expose what happens. We see those graphic images. They're very difficult to watch. Republicans and Democrats alike have condemned Planned Parenthood for what they have done with these harvesting. This isn't about abortion as a whole. It can be if you want to get into that conversation. It's also about the crime that's potentially being committed here. I mean, Representative Jones, Planned Parenthood in Texas, the affiliate there, has been referred for criminal prosecution by the United States Congress. There is at least probable cause that they did something wrong. And the Democrats, I think, are the ones that are making this political because they refuse to look at whether a crime has been committed because they're so committed themselves to protecting everything that is abortion.
I don't agree, because there has been bipartisan efforts, with Democrats included, to ensure that the policies that are in place that Planned Parenthood does overall follow have been put there for the protection of the patients who are there. Now, there are always going to be one or two bad actors when you have a large organization like Planned Parenthood, but overwhelmingly Congress, after having several long hearings and going questioning after questioning, found that Planned Parenthood was doing what they were supposed to do. And
no, they didn't. They referred them for criminal prosecution. What they found is they found probable cause that they were selling aborted baby body parts for profit. They referred them to the Texas Attorney General for prosecution. But LaDon, let me phrase this a different way. This woman, Dr. Mary Gatter, she was stung in this same way 3 years ago, on the first phase of these videos. She was the one that made that horrible joke about wanting to sell these aborted baby body parts so she could buy herself a Lamborghini. Absolutely sickening. Planned Parenthood didn't fire her for that. She's doing it again. Doesn't that speak to you in some way of Planned Parenthood just brushing aside this bad behavior?
I mean, if that's the case, President Trump,
President Trump never sold aborted baby body parts.
But he said a lot of very offensive and inappropriate things.
But nothing that would indicate a crime had been committed. This indicates a crime has been committed. I don't understand why that doesn't bother you.
Because I don't believe that a crime has been committed. And I think that although there may have been one case in Texas, the overall guidelines and policies for Planned Parenthood are medically sound. They have been approved by our Congress. And overall, the benefit is the American people that are able to get these illnesses cured, allow science to advance, while these aborted fetuses that would have been aborted anyway. Understand this. Get rid of Planned Parenthood. These women who have determined for their own selves that they cannot have this child, not only will have to go in back rooms to have these children, but then on the next go around, they won't even be able to.
We have no evidence of that. In fact, we have evidence that shows opposite of that. We have evidence that when women have waiting periods, when they have time to think about this, a lot of them choose not to. When they're offered the opportunity to give their baby up for adoption, or they go to crisis pregnancy centers and they're told, you know what? You can do this. You're strong. You're a woman. You can do this. And they're given the tools necessary to be able to do that. They're given the financial assistance. Women want to keep their babies. That's the evidence we have. We don't have evidence that 323,999 abortions that happen in Planned Parenthood would suddenly happen in a back alley. That's simply not factual. It's a fear tactic Democrats use.
Well, I hope that some of the state laws that have been put out is to require information be given to these mothers before they decide to have an abortion. I hope we also are willing to give them during these waiting periods information saying that, by the way, when you have this child, conservatives are cutting out every kind of benefit plan there is. So you're on your own and deal with it from there. We want you to keep the baby, but we're not going to help you take care of it at all.
No, and that's not accurate, because there are crisis pregnancy centers everywhere. There are federally funded health centers and clinics in these neighborhoods everywhere. There's 10 to 1 more of them than Planned Parenthood that are willing to help. Churches are willing to help. Communities are willing to help. Families are willing to help. The situations these women get in are heartbreaking. LaDon, you and I have talked about this before. We've all had friends that have been in this situation. What do? We're there for our friends. These women need us more than they need an abortion clinic. That's the conversation that we need to have. And I'm really happy that you're willing to have that conversation with me. Thank you.